Alright guys, what's up? You gotta forgive me. I'm coming off of a really long fucking weekend. It is now 10:26 at night. And it's been a high-paced couple days. So, as I talked about on Instagram and that super quick live stream I did on YouTube the other day, Cleats and Cars. So I didn't know about it going on. I didn't realize who was going to be involved. Or I knew about it. Because I saw somebody on the Tampa Honda group saying, I'm trying to get my car ready for Cleats and Cars, which I don't know why, because like almost every Honda that was there was fucking parked, and like nobody was really doing anything. It was mainly muscle guys, to be honest. There was a couple of guys out there, but not many. And I think the couple of guys that were out there in Hondas came from out of state with the Boostedboiz, right? So anyway, Mike from eBay Turbo hits me up, and he's been living in Panama. Came from Panama to hit the Bradenton. He's like, I was wondering if you're going to be there so we can link up. I'm going to be there now that you're telling me, that you're coming. He's like, oh yeah, and by the way, this is going to be a huge event because Kyle and the Boostedboiz are going to be there, and a whole bunch of big YouTubers like Adam LZ and some other people. I can't remember all. As a matter of fact, I thought when I was hearing about Adam LZ, I thought he was somebody else. I was getting him confused with somebody else. So it turns out I don't really know the guy, even though his channel is enormous. But this goes to I say I don't really watch a lot of YouTube shit for guys. Like I tend to find guys with like a channel at a time and then binge them for a while, and then stumble across another channel, and that's how Plus I do get recommendations from you guys from time to time. You should watch this. You should watch that, and I may not act on that right away, but when I'm going through my feed looking for shit on the treadmill or whatnot or whatever, when I'm just chilling in the house and I'm all Netflix binged out or whatever binged out, I'll look for shit, and if it pops up in my feed and I'll remember, hey, this has been recommended such and such amount of times, let me watch it, right? So yeah, that's how I find people from nowadays, right? And when I think about it after talking to Kyle, I realized that not only is my YouTube thing not really that deep, like me being on YouTube, but me being on YouTube actually isn't that much longer than my YouTube experience total. I think I didn't really watch YouTube videos, to be honest, not until 2015 or 2014. I think I might have still been working at Kenworth. David Patterson was the very first channel I ever subscribed to. I had like YouTube channel, like random accounts to get past age gates on certain videos, but I never had one that was like my account that I subscribed to until that. And then after that, I realized that this could be cool, and I started subscribing to channels and shit. And then after a while, I just stopped watching everybody and started, I got bored, and then after a while, I came back to YouTube, focusing on myself. That was how I reintroduced myself to them, or to YouTube. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Bradenton. So I get up there, right, and my Honda Day fears, like I mentioned in my first Honda Day trip that I didn't get a rental car because I remember seeing the YouTube videos of long ass lines, people telling nightmare stories of how they waited 6 hours. I was like, that's not going to be me, right? So I'll go to Honda Day, and it wasn't like that at all. No parking lot. So as I'm getting to the exit to get to Bradenton's Motorsports, right, the line for the street is red for several miles. Immediately going into the turn, like immediately turning onto that road, I turn into a traffic jam. It's a parking lot. I was in line for an hour. Now the cool thing was when we get to the parking lot, it wasn't too difficult to find parking, and the line that was to get in the gate was enormous. It was like wrapped around the shit, but it was moving pretty quick. I don't think we were in line longer than 30 minutes, and maybe that seems like a long time, but when the line is so long that it's hard to see the people at the front, like they look like small things, that's pretty fast. That's pretty fast moving, right? As a matter of fact, I got there a little bit earlier than Mike did, and Mike actually got in the gate. He was priority to get in the gate, like he was the priority, like because he pre-bought tickets, and he wound up getting in after me a little bit. He was still behind me. That's how fast the line was moving. For him to be able to skip ahead towards the front for the pre-order guys and still come in behind me in the line where I was waiting long as fuck. Anyway, so that's that. The event was enormous. I think it's probably, I think it might have been bigger than the first Honda Day and on par with the second that I went to. I want to say it's something like that. The track that we went to at Honda Day was, I feel that whole complex was much bigger than the one in New Hampshire. It seemed like it covered a lot more ground. Now, I might be wrong, but Anyway, that's how I felt about that. But it was pretty packed. Like, besides the fact there was a parking lot, there was a lot of people there. The stands were pretty filled out, right, on both sides. And there was quite a bit of spectators along the fences and a huge amount in the back because they had like a burnout pit going next to the track. So yeah, that was interesting. So I met Mike, and it's another one of those things where it gives me more faith in humanity because he's got 6 kids and they're all well behaved. It's like I know I keep saying that this is like a shock for me. That's probably because the kids I'm exposed to nowadays are by, like younger couples or millennials that don't even really know how to take care of themselves, don't even know how to fucking put on deodorant, and are raising kids. Maybe that the new age generation of parents is just terrible. But Mike's an old head. Mike's older than I am, so he keeps a tight ship. Apparently, the kids are well behaved and mannered. So, and another thing cool about the kids is they're very much invested in the auto scene. Like, they know this shit. They knew more people at the thing. They knew more of the famous people than I did. They were like running like, oh shit, this guy, oh shit, that guy, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? I don't know. Which eventually led to an oh shit moment for me later, which was cool. And then Mike's like, yeah, these guys already know how to do pistons and rods. And I look back and they both like children of the corn like moment. They both just looked at me and real serious and was like, mm-hmm. I was like, that's cool as fuck. So Mike's cool people. So we were able to talk just same like we bullshitted back and forth on social media. Like, and that's the best thing, best case scenario you can hope for is to have a good flowing conversation that's not awkward or empty. It was good, productive. And hopefully more along the lines come like that later on. Hopefully we can, as shit gets expanded and like more money comes and more abilities and time to travel, do more things with more people, right? I wouldn't really call them crossover events because I don't plan on filming and I don't expect people to film just because I'm around, and I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want things to be awkward. But yeah, eventually maybe we can start producing some shit, and then if we get stuff done, work done, then we could possibly do crossover shit. That'd be cool. And that goes with anybody in general, right? So we get to the event, right, and we're all just sitting there waiting, watching the races, and for the most part they were uneventful. There were some fast cars there. 10s and 11s were quite common. There were a handful of slow, I guess, local guys are just riding whatever the fuck they brought. And there was even an 8.7 second, or was it 8.6? I think it was 8.7. There was I think it was an older body Camaro, ran 8.7 consistent twice, 2 separate passes that I remember seeing, and those same times back to back. So that was cool as fuck. That car was extremely fast. So anyway, watching it in the stands for a while, and then I'm waiting for this fucking MR2 to roll out, right? Don't see the MR2. I'm like, well, that's all of the. I mean, like, I really don't care about the drag racing all that much. I wanted to meet Mike, and then after getting there, I was like, well, hopefully I can run into Kyle. But I'm like, I'm not even gonna try and DM this guy because I can imagine the amount of people he's got around him right now. So I was like, well, fuck it, maybe we can coordinate better at like a Honda Day or a World Cup final or something like that. I'll just leave for another time. And after, I think it started to get kind of late, and I was like getting impatient for the MR2, and Mike had already stepped out to take his kids back to the hotel with his wife, and I was like, well, let me just call it a fucking night, man. I don't think this car's gonna run. It's already starting to get late. So we get up and we go to leave, and on the way out, I'd seen the picture on Instagram. I posted like, oh, well, here's the MR2, so I found him. And I was like, I kind of did like a quick scan left and right. I didn't see anybody that I recognized. So I was like, all right, fine, fuck it. Take some pictures of the MR2, look at it real quick, get up close. Because I remember seeing, I didn't see the build come together on YouTube. I saw the build come together on Instagram. So it's cool to see that in person, And so they're just scanning around the car, and I was like, all right, let's go, let's take off. And I'm rolling out with my kids and my wife, and I see, Kyle. And I'm like, that's Kyle. So, I took off my hoodie because, I talked to explain to Mike while I was there, dude, I feel awkward wearing my own merch. I didn't think about it at the time I was leaving, but I kind of immediately regretted once I got there having the VHB hoodie on me. I was like, I feel self-conscious about it's like a desperate cry for attention, and it's not. I'm not trying to do that. So, I took it off, and I gave it to my wife to hold, and I went over to him. I just kind of reached and tapped his elbow. I was like, oh, what's up, man? I was like, oh, hi. How you doing? I shook hands and went into conversation. It was pretty smooth, pretty easy to get the kids a natural talent for conversation and talking. It was pretty easy. It's another one of those great best case scenarios where you start talking to the guy, and it's same way that the conversations go back and forth on social media. It seems like it's somebody you've already met, and I think that's for me the whole star-studded thing. It didn't happen because of I've already got history with Kyle, even though it started off kind of rocky, like that stupid thing that happened in the beginning that I had to apologize for, and then in the process of apologizing, actually having the communication, talking back and forth and speaking every once in a while. So it seemed like it kind of dulled it down for me because I know you already somewhat. I've spoken to you, and now we're having the conversation, and it seems just like a continuation of the time we've already spoke. So there was that. The I guess the appreciation for me for the starstruck moment for that was like how many fucking people came, like especially later, like when I got to I mentioned I was going back for round 2 because I had already been in the process of leaving, and I told my mother, who lived in Tampa, not too far away, that I was coming, and my kids were hungry and stuff, and they hadn't eaten it since the morning. It's a 3-hour drive, plus the wait in the line, plus hanging out around there, and my kids are picky eaters, so the food at the vendors were serving wasn't really great for them. So he's like, well, I need to go. I'm gonna go talk to these guys real quick, and then he's like, but we're gonna be here all night till it closes. Come hang out. And I'm like, all right, cool, for sure, I'll do that. And I go take my kids out to eat, or we run down to a McDonald's not too far away and hang out for a little while, and we head back. So I head back in, catch up to Kyle again, and we talk for a while. And it was a good conversation, and so the whole conversation in itself wasn't really important. It's just like, I guess the experience itself. There's a lot of fucking people, and I jump out of the way every once in a while so fans can come up and autographs and shit. It's cool, man. And in general, the whole crowd, there's a lot of famous people. Like I said, I didn't recognize most of them, but they were being recognized by a lot of people that were there. A lot of autographs, a lot of pictures, man, a lot of patience, and everybody was cool. Nobody had an attitude. And that's always great to see that that people can take the time for like that. And there's a lot of young people too. And so that was surprising that how many younger people were there, not just young 20-year-olds, but like kids and teens. So I'm like, wow, man, maybe I'm reaching a younger audience than I realize from time to time. Maybe, probably not, because my shit's more tech talk instead of action. So I'll probably, never mind, that's probably not happening. I think I've only had 2 people DM me that say they were like 16. So yeah, anyway, the conversation goes there for a while, and then of course there was another mob of another fan swarm that came up. So he's like, hey, I'm gonna step over here again. I was like, yeah, and I went with Mike, and then Mike and his kids, and they started celebrity stalking. So I kind of floated a little bit behind Mike and the kids, and let him talk to people and not interfere and get in the way of pictures or whatnot, and while having conversation. And then at one point in time, his kids like, hey man, it's the guy, and I was looking in the complete opposite direction, my back turned to him, and just kind of waiting for the moment to pass, autograph pictures and whatnot. And I look up kind of lazy eyed, and I glance up and I see this dude's fucking hat. And I'm like, huh? I double take, like, what? I recognize that fucking hat. And I'm like, oh, and I looked at the dude's face. I was like, oh shit! I was like, oh, I know you, fucking MotionAuto, man. I know this guy. I was like, you're fucking awesome, bro. I was like, man, you're the only long form guy that I can sit and just watch. At the time when I discovered him, because I found out his shit before I was watching The Humble, right? It was one random night where I was bored and I was up on shit watching, and the dude was in, I think it was a video, it was 45 minutes long, and it's just him in the shop solo, not really talking to anybody, just by himself working on a car. Nah, that was cool, man. And of course, finishing watching the Super Build and shit. So that was my fucking big starstruck moment, because I didn't not expect to meet this guy ever, especially not expect to meet him in my fucking backyard, and it's just not so unexpected, threw me for a fucking loop. Didn't expect to run into that guy. That's somebody I never thought I would imagine I would meet, and it was cool to be able to shake the guy's hand and tell him about it. And he's like, yeah, some people give me some shit about it because most people hate that kind of stuff. I'm like, not me, dude. I was like, I have a small channel, and I mainly sit in front of the computer talking. So I can imagine the kind of, people talk shit from time to time, but it's bullshit. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of haters, but at the same time, too, the channel's big. So it's big for a reason, right? So I got to talk for him for a while. He hung out for a good bit. We, yapping back and forth about the all-wheel drive Civic that he built, and some stuff, and problems, or and fixes and solutions for different types of racing and builds. And then gone back from there, and then so Mike and the kids went out to go meet some more people, and so hung out talking for a while, and it got to a point where like it was almost time for them to close the gates anyway, and I'd already spent a good amount of time talking to Kyle, which at first I assumed like I could hope to be able to do this. Wasn't 100% sure I was going to be able to, and then it did happen. So went to talk to him again. I was like, hey, just again, nice meeting you. Look forward to the next one, and gonna be doing some traveling this year, so maybe if you don't mind, I'd come out and see you at your spot. And he's like, yeah, for sure, just let me know. So that probably is gonna be happening. So yeah, because like I mentioned the other day on social, I have 4 weeks paid vacation, which starts accruing immediately. And I figured that I will take one of those 4 weeks as a vacation with my family at some point in time during the year, and then the other 3 weeks I will be breaking into long weekends. So I'll have 5 days or 15 days that I can take 2 days here, 2 days here, 2 days here, and then go to big events around the country, and I'll definitely be making the money to be able to do so. Judging by where me and my wife's household income is right now, and judging by how much money we had saved recently, of course, that could, it's always could change. It depends on what I'm doing, like whether I'm actually building a car or an engine or something like that. It's how much money saved, but I think it's a viable thing. Cheap airlines are, they get around, and when you're talking about $100 or $200 a ticket, that's a negligible expense. It costs more to deal with the rental car side than it does for the flight. So yeah, I figure at one point in time I'll go up to Colorado, and I don't have any idea when that would be, but I would like it to be during the warmer months. So I think once I move into our new spot, whenever that happens, and then I will have been working for a few months at that point, and I will see the money flow, see the money rate flow, and then I can start scheduling some plans. Because I figure I'll probably go to at least one. If they have 2 haunted days, I'll probably go to at least one of them. And depending on where they're going to be at is which one I'll go to. If they do New Hampshire again, that'll probably be for sure the one I'll go to, because there's some people I didn't get to meet last time that I want to meet. So I would like to go back to that. And then I guess World Cup Finals is a maybe, but that I guess really depends on the rest of the schedule. Like if I go out to Tulsa and I meet Alex and Kenny, and I go run out and hang out with Kyle at his place, then World Cup Finals might be kind of like an irrelevant trip for me, because again, I don't really care too much about the racing aspect. It's just about meeting people, and if I've already done that, then there's no point in going. But yeah, so that was a super unexpected weekend event that completely caught me off guard. Wasn't expecting to happen, and good things came out of it. It's great, and yeah, so I hope to have more spring from that going into next year. And I got some other things to talk about. One other thing is a takeaway from Cleves and Cars for me personally, and some other shit that I asked that involved Kyle, like with the fucking H22. So I said to you guys a long while back that I was gonna ask him, and I didn't, because I didn't want to DM him to ask like questions like that. And, I didn't want to bother the guy. So I figured, hey, I got you in front of me. Let me just ask this real quick. That's one of the first things I asked him, as a matter of fact. All right, guys. So thanks for watching, and peace. I hope that you come back for the next couple ones.